Welcome back to the Sioux City Show. My name is Taylor Grote, and I'm hosting this thing. In the studio with me today, I have Ron Bauer, correct?
Correct.
From the Regional Convention and Visitors Bureau of Sioux City, better known as Explore Sioux City. Ron, tell us a bit about what you're doing over there.
Great. Hi. Thanks for having me. Well, I am the first direct destination manager for Explore Sioux City. Basically, I bring in visitors, tournaments, events to the Sioux City area, and that includes all of Siouxland. So not just Sioux City, but North Sioux City, Sergeant Bluff, the Dunes, South Sioux City, all of Siouxland.
Basically the tri-state area then, yeah.
Correct.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And then the goal is just to build tourism, which has taken a little hit during COVID. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, Sioux City still has tournaments coming.
Yeah.
The NAIA is coming back this year. And so the goal really is to expand on those events to make it so that our restaurants, shops, hotels, and all of our attractions are busy on not just weekends, on weekdays as well.
Yeah. And I guess you're not from Sioux City, right?
I am not.
Okay, so can you talk a little bit about like how coming to Sioux City as a newcomer influenced your whole view of everything going on around here?
Oh, it's incredible. When I came for my initial interview, I couldn't believe how big of a city Sioux City is compared to only, 80,000 people that live here?
Yeah.
It truly is a larger city. Not, Minneapolis big, but certainly a medium size. There's so much here.
Yep.
I noticed right away how many event venues there are to have tournaments and conventions, that things that other cities this size do not have.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, people always say, oh, it's only 80,000 people. But we're a little restricted geographically as far as population growth because Sergeant Bluff's population has been growing. I'm sure Hinton's population grows, whatever. But we do have the whole being 100 miles away from Omaha or Sioux Falls, basically. It gives us a unique opportunity to grow and be able to attract people to a city of 80,000 people rather than rely on a big city that's semi-nearby like other cities of our size would have to. So it's really nice. And I guess we've seen kind of a demographic shift to the point where in a city that's traditionally blue-collar and still is a blue-collar economy, having, I guess, an artist class almost emerge because of the cost of living here is a lot lower than if somebody wants to move to Denver. So we have a ton of musicians, a ton of artists that are able to make a living to the point where they're able to live in Sioux City and create art, if not full-time, at least part-time. And it gives a unique flair to the city in that sense. So especially with, you mentioned venues, I think music venues we're especially blessed on to have people like Kelly Quinn and Mitch Martin running the Marquee and the Hard Rock in general and all the smaller venues around town that are going on. It's all pretty great. So.
Yeah, and I can't wait to start exploring them once live music starts coming back again. I'm excited to see some live shows and try out all these new places that I've never been. Mm-hmm. Even going to a Musketeers hockey game. I've not been to one yet.
Yep.
I'm from Ohio originally, so I've been to an NHL game, but never a smaller hockey tournament or game. So I'm excited to go. I've heard it's a great time. Same with the Explorers, the baseball. Those are going to be some fun things for me to do and to promote.
Yeah, definitely. Some of my favorite memories, I guess, as a child were at Bandits games. So those are fun, too. I don't know if you've ever been to an indoor football game, but compressing everything down to 50 yards and, it's a high-paced game, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm going to go to one because I have never been to an arena football. Mm-hmm. I've seen it on TV. It goes pretty quick.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's very quick. It's a completely different game. Yeah. But they do get, some great talent. At one point, I don't know if you probably not from Wisconsin, but Iowa football has this thing called the catch, where it was Warren Holloway catching a football in the end zone. And Warren Holloway played it for the Bandits the year after he graduated from Iowa. and Fred Jackson, who had like a great career in the NFL, played for the Bandits before he went to the NFL. So
great.
Yeah, there's real talent on the field, I guess is what that was all to say.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I can't recommend that enough for somebody who's looking to do it. And we kind of do have a rich baseball history in Sioux City as well. Did you know that the Chicago White Sox originally started in Sioux City?
I did not. That's fabulous.
Yeah, this is where the whole the franchise started, was originally a Sioux City team. And I got a photo over there, but it's Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig playing baseball on an exhibition tour down in the Sioux City Stockyard. So
wow.
There's kind of like interesting sports history to Sioux City all over the place.
Yeah, where I came from was Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and Hank Aaron started his career with the Eau Claire Express. So it's kind of a similar thing. That it's amazing that these well-known, iconic players played in these smaller towns.
Definitely.
It's great.
And it's a real source of like city pride. And honestly, I'll tell you that a lot of the Sioux City history that I'm pretty proud of myself is not very well documented or talked about, or like nobody knows about it, I guess, is the big picture there. And
Lewis and Clark is really amazing too.
Yeah, that gets taken for granted real quick when you grow up here. So,
yeah. And I didn't realize that was part of this area.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible historic value just alone in Sioux City.
Right. And I don't know if you know Sioux City's founding story or not, but the Chief War Eagle had 2 daughters who married a guy named Theophile Brugger, I think was the guy's name. And he had been inducted into the Yankton Sioux tribe. And he like told War Eagle about, he had this dream of a place where 2 rivers converge. And, it's the Big Sioux and the Missouri, and War Eagle was like, hey, I know the exact spot. And then they came over here in the 1840s, and then they set up some teepees and some and cabins. And like before, I think within 10, 15 years, there was like a relatively sizable population moving into Sioux City. So we have a cool history here, and the Regional Convention and Visitors Bureau should promote some of this history.
Right. Well, yeah. There's definitely history tourism too.
Yes.
And I think this is a great place to have it. Not only with Lewis and Clark, but some of what you've mentioned. The Chief War Eagle. I have not yet been to the monument, but I've heard it's an incredible view.
Yeah.
To see.
It is. But it's pretty disgraceful. It's been the monument itself has been what would you call that, vandalized a few points. So, and I think that the current vandalism that sits there is still from the 60s or something. So I know I think it was when America's Bicentennial was happening, so 76. War Eagle's great granddaughter or something like that went to the site, and she was like, what is going on here? So I think Sioux City undertook a little bit of rebuilding efforts there and try to make it a little bit more beautiful, but it has some work to go. I'll give you that I'll give you that disclaimer before you go up.
No problem.
Yeah. So I guess with running visitor, or like running, can we just call it
it's a visitors bureau.
The tourism.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So with running the organization, what type of things are you guys doing to, I guess, promote Sioux City?
Well, right now we're still at the early stages. Quite honestly, I've been here since December 14th. So we started from scratch. There was no office. There was no phone lines, no nothing. So we've gotten all of that done. Now our goal is to start working on the marketing plan to bring in tours and conventions. The pandemic's put a little bit of a pause on it because a lot of them that were set for 2021 are now 2022 because they had to cancel in 2020.
Yep.
So we really are probably 2 to 3 years out before we can get major tournaments. But there's going to be some that we will be able to get. Even still, some are being canceled across the country. And Sioux City is fortunate to have some, I wouldn't say laxed health measures, but they are not as strict as some of the others. So that does help to bring some in. So we're definitely going to be going for those.
Yep.
Our general area is 200 miles out.
Okay.
That's a pretty good one. Eventually, we'd like to be nationwide, but you have to start somewhere. So, Minneapolis, Chicago, kind of down to St. Louis area. I think that's kind of our goal.
What we in Sioux City call a day trip. So Chicago to Denver, Minneapolis to Kansas City is basically,
Yeah, that would be it, yes. So what I'm doing right now is going to some of our attractions, which I still have quite a bit to go to. So forgive me if I haven't been to you yet.
It's all right. December and January aren't great traveling months or visiting months even. So
well, what I'm doing is trying to get some experiences made so that when we bring up like a motor coach group, a bus group in, they get something totally different than the average person would get. And I'm just going to use this as an example because I spoke with them, but the Sioux City Symphony. Not only can we give them a tour of the Orpheum, which is beautiful in itself, we may be able to get a personal concert from, a violinist or a pianist, even if it's just 20 minutes. That is something they will remember because you or me off the street could not get that.
Right.
And that's going to be great. And then they hopefully will come back with their families, friends, see a whole concert from the symphony, or wherever we go. It can be, there's so many different attractions here that we can do, Palmer Candy, take a tour, or the Jolly Time Popcorn.
Yep.
There's just things that are unique
to this area. Pop into Honeywave Media, get a video taken of them, write me a check. They're on their way.
There we go.
I love it.
Hey, we made an experience right here.
Plans are coming together. I love it.
Perfect. Have them be on a podcast. They'll be on their own podcast.
Yep. No guarantees on release, but it will be recorded.
There you go. I
like it. I mean that's definitely the big idea. I feel like is that I try to paint myself as a little bit of a Sioux City expert, and I do believe that there are so many things in Sioux City that people don't know about, and I don't know what the disconnect is between people who've lived here their whole life and people who don't know about the Sioux City Symphony. I'll tell you right now, the symphony is just not my thing, so I've never really been to the symphony.
That's okay.
But I've heard great things. I mean, I've gone to, my grandma had off-Broadway show tickets down at the Hard Rock for years, so I've been to Grease and Jersey Boys about 5 times each with her. So, so there's plenty to do. And I guess I always give the example, I'm at that age where basically most of my friends have moved to Chicago or Denver, or Minneapolis by this point. And they always tell me, you should move to Denver. It's so great. And I say, what do you do? And they say, we go to these 3 bars that are our favorite, and we go to these 8 restaurants, and we go to, and I go, I do all that in Sioux City, and I don't pay more. I don't even pay half of what you pay to live there. So I'm not really seeing the draw of it, but
living in Eau Claire, we had thought about moving to Minneapolis, and because the city's incredible, but it is really pricey to live, and I mean, yes, it could be worth it because you have all this stuff around you, but to me, a city the size of Sioux City, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, those are the types that you get to know people. You get all the personal attention. When you go to a restaurant here, they know who you are. I've already started to get recognized, and I've only been here 2 months. That you don't get that in a big city.
Definitely not. And I think there's something to be said about living in a town this size too, where you can expect to see somebody again. That you better treat them pretty nicely the first time you meet them. You don't get away with the asshole behavior very much here.
I totally agree, and that's great.
Yeah. I'll take it. Right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So, what is your organization? Is it like a nonprofit or is it a government entity?
It is a nonprofit.
Okay.
We are a 501c, I think is what it is, or C6. Basically, how we're funded is we go to the different areas of town, like the city of Sioux City, North Sioux City, and we give a pitch about what we have to offer. and they will give us a certain amount of money to promote the area, which is wonderful. We're also doing hotels, and we have them sign up for it's a fee where they will get the first dibs on like a convention. We will send them the RFP, which is a form that is sent out to get requested rates.
Request for proposal, right?
Yeah,
RFP.
yeah. So they will get that before other hotels will. And it kind of helps them. It helps us. That way we can work with them to promote the event, make sure that the people who are staying there have all the relevant things to do. Right now I'm working on a piece with actually with Ann Westra from the city to it's just a one sheet double-sided that has things to do.
Oh, okay.
And we are going to give those out at the NAIA and the wrestling tournaments. And just because people they often will stay in their hotel.
Yep.
We want them to get out of their hotel.
And the worst possible thing that somebody could do when they come to Sioux City is to, I know that some chains are locally owned and operated, but to go to your hotel and order a Domino's pizza,
right,
or to feel like you want Mexican food and go to, well, I guess we don't even have like a Monterey or not Monterey, but a Carlos O'Kelly's anymore, but like not get all of the local food that we have to offer here because it's crazy good, and want Chinese food and get Panda Express.
Right.
A way to make sure that visitors to the city are aware that that's not the place to go in Sioux City is important.
And on our website, we do list those places because
and I mean
visitors. Some visitors do want what they know. I get that.
Yep.
When I go somewhere, I want something local.
Yeah. That's
I
more
want
the
to
point
get
I was
it.
making. Exactly.
Yeah. Even coffee here. Before I moved here, I was a Starbucks fiend.
Yep.
Since I've been here, there's so many great coffee shops. I have not even missed going to Starbucks.
Right.
And that's what I'm hoping happens when visitors come, that I can say, you know what, I'm not going to give a plug, but to blah,
Go
blah,
ahead.
blah.
We can say it. Stone
Brew.
High Ground. Hardline. Coffee Works.
Even Scooters.
Yep. Well, Scooters, we'll give them a soft pass being from Lincoln, but Sioux City first.
I had never had any of those. I mean, Scooters isn't nationwide.
No, they're pretty regional actually.
But those are something that you don't get anywhere. And so, but yes, do we have a Starbucks? Yes. If you really want it, we need to provide that for them.
Right.
And I think that's ultimately what the Visitors Bureau is for. We listen to what a visitor wants, give it to them, but give them options that they may not know about.
Yes. And something I don't know if this is Sioux City specific, but I live here, so I recognize it, is that some of our best local joints don't do a great job of promoting themselves, don't do a good job of letting people know what hours they're open or where they're located or any of that crap. It's, it truly turns into a locals only type club that I'm sure isn't intentional. And so that, like, having an organization that's able to give that information out to people who are looking for somewhere to go is a big asset to those businesses.
A lot of it is some people do not understand how social media works. So and that's hard. I mean, it's hard to get any business today without having social media. So that's one thing we are going to be able to provide is get that information from those companies, have it on our website, promote it on our social media, promote it on these double-sided sheets to hand out. Then word will start getting out that Sioux City is a foodie town.
Yes.
It's a sports town. It's an art town. If you've never been here, you're not going to know that. Just by the name, you will not know it.
Literally. And
yes.
I mean, you ask the average person from Omaha or Sioux Falls, they got a lot to say about Sioux City. They can take all that and shove it. But Sioux City does not deserve its reputation that it has. As far as, people, you say, what is Sioux City like? They go, it smells. Well, okay. don't be a baby about it. But
It's not even necessarily reputation. It's that they don't know.
yes.
Being from outside of Iowa, I didn't know much about the area. So it's a lot of it's coming to it, educating yourself. Soon as I came here, my partner and I, we fell in love with it, and we said we can't wait to be here as citizens of Sioux City.
Yep. So, and it's like, it's a weird, you say, I'm on the road a lot when it's not a pandemic going on. In 2019, I think I traveled over 50 cities for work. So I'm on the road a lot, and people will say, where are you from? I say, Northwest Iowa. And they're like, what's it like there? And I'm like, I really like it because the city I live in is really diverse. So we have like a great food selection. And they're like, it's diverse in Northwest Iowa. And I say, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
The census results I don't think have come out yet, but I think that there's probably been a huge demographic shift even from 2010, and it's like it's a real blessing to be able to live in a city where we're on West 7th Street, and just out here I can have Four Seasons Vietnamese food, Diamond Thai, Da Cao Vietnamese food, and right across the street is Taco Soguero. There's no shortage of great food for me to eat right outside of here that we wouldn't have if we didn't have a diverse community. And I think that that's a very underrated part of what we have to offer here. So
one thing I will say we've discovered really quickly is that the Mexican food population that has Mexican food is incredible here.
Yeah,
so authentic. You wouldn't believe that you're in Iowa.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. I mean, it is so good and so many.
And it's the cooking is from the, I guess, I don't know if I would say most, but a large portion of the Mexican immigrants in Sioux City are from the Jalisco Michoacan border. So it's a very specific type of food that most restaurants have too. So, and it's like, it gives, I call it like the specific Sioux City flavor, but it's not. It's the Michoacan Jalisco flavor. Mm-hmm. But we just have such a significant portion of immigrants from that area that we're able to have great
Fascinating.
food. Yeah, I'm a big fan. It's and I can give you some real Mexican food recommendations if you're ever looking for any.
Okay.
And don't sleep on the Salvadorian food either. Or there's
I don't think I've ever had any.
Oh yeah, so it's called.
I'll have to try it.
California is down on Villa, and they have great pupusas. So if you're looking for something new, that's the spot.
Yeah, definitely.
So when we're talking about like Sioux City's getting people to come here and explaining to them what it's about, I kind of just want to show you a few videos here. The first one is basically last year, to set it up. In 2019, I traveled to Clearwater Beach, Florida. And I kind of like look into all of the cities I'm traveling to before I go to them. And this is the video that I came across for Clearwater Beach. And let me get it loaded up here. What is it looking like on volume? All right.
Is up to meet you with a morning kiss, where the sand is as soft as sugar and the water sparkles like an emerald jewel. Know what I'm going to do today? I can play. I can fly. I can sightsee. I can shop.
Okay, so that's what they have on their tourism commercial. And so I think that Clearwater Beach is going to be a nice place to go. And then there's something to be said about being upfront in your advertising about what people can expect when they get to your city. And sometimes you got to own some of the negative stuff. If they would have told me, hey, you might get in an Uber outside of the airport and a meth addict who is watching Ancient Aliens on an iPad driving down the interstate is going to pick you up, I would have been less startled by this.
Does the strange power over life and death come from?
So what I'm saying is there's something to be said about being honest in your advertising and being straight up and owning the things that people might say you have a bad reputation for. So I envision a 2-part series of videos for Sioux City tourism in which in one video we lay it all out there. The things that people say that are bad, we say, hey, it's all right. In the second video, we go, now check out all the great stuff, right? I made part 1. I think you'll like this. Hi, I'm Taylor Grote, content creator, entrepreneur, and aspiring cult leader. I run a company called Honeywave Media in Sioux City, Iowa, and it recently came to my attention that Sioux City, Iowa has been getting a lot of hate. So I think it's time for us to address you haters. Down in Omaha, they keep talking about, oh, it takes Sioux City 12 years to widen the interstate from 2 lanes to 3. They're so dumb. Well, the joke's on you idiots, because it only took us 11, and look at this puppy. People want to criticize our city planners and say, you put a porn store right in the middle of town, right off one of the main streets. What's that going to do to the children? Well, we don't got to worry about that in Sioux City because research has shown that only 7 out of 10 children understand that sign's in the shape of a giant. Sioux Falls has been jealous of Sioux City ever since they called the song Sioux City Sioux instead of Sioux Falls Sioux. And then they want to talk about our water tower and think that we're rubbing it in, and they say, oh, the water tower is not even that good looking. It's a pretty ugly mural. They probably wasted a ton of money on it, but they have no idea how much money we saved by not paying for the licensing of the actual notes to the song and just making up our own instead. So we win again, Sioux Falls, take that. The haters like to say that there's nowhere to shop in Sioux City. You gotta go to Omaha, Des Moines, Sioux Falls. But we have 2 malls. They're right across the street from each other, and both of them are half full. So there's plenty of shopping to do. A lot of people try to talk about Sioux City smelling bad. We have a wastewater treatment facility right in the middle of town, and that's a bad idea. But you know who says that? Babies. In Sioux City, we put on our big boy pants, and we put a city park right next door because we're not scared of a little smell. I hope this video has done a good job of clearing up some of the rumors about Sioux City and whether or not it's actually a great place. But if you have any doubts, feel free to come visit sometime. You might not hate it. See, there we hit them with the jab, and then get them all loosened up. They're thinking, what is Sioux City? They're really owning all the things that we've said about them. And then we come in and we say, check out our food, check out all the things to do, our sports teams. If I get that down to 30 seconds, can we run it as a commercial?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I'll take it.
I do have a board. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk to Dave and Alex. We'll get it.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's very similar that when you ended, you may not hate it. I think it's Nebraska is we're not for everybody.
Is it?
I think that's their slogan, and
wow. Now I got to rethink my entire strategy. If Nebraska's doing
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Nebraska, we're not for everybody. Well, you're right, but we're for a lot of people.
Yeah. So. Now that you mentioned that, a light bulb went off, and I think it's either Nebraska or Wyoming. But yeah, I think it's Nebraska.
I think it's Nebraska, but you're right, and it's. I mean that's brilliant because they are doing the same thing. We're not for everybody, but we might be for you.
That's the thing about Sioux City specifically too, is that you get people who move here, and some people are like you, where they say, I love it. There's so much to do, and you're actively trying to seek out and embrace the things that make Sioux City special, different, and great. And so many people come here and they go, oh, it's dirty. It's a gross town. And the people here are so negative, and it's like, I don't know if you've heard the way you're talking right now, but it sounds a little negative. And they just cut themselves off from what Sioux City is and what the Sioux City experience can be and should be. That I just think that people who take that point of view are doing themselves such a disservice.
I agree.
Yeah. I've lived in plenty of different cities from my time in the military and college and stuff. And Sioux City definitely has a different vibe than anywhere else that I've lived. And I really enjoy it. I like the total lack of pretension here. Pretense? Well, the total lack of whatever that word
pretense
would be. Yeah, the pretense, good. The noun. And there's such a nice, I always say Sioux City when people talk about, how do you get guests on your podcast or how do you do this? I'm like, in Sioux City, people don't say no when you ask them like a nice favor for something. It's just people are so willing to help here that that alone, you can take away a lot of the stuff we have to offer, and just like the genuine good nature of most people who live here makes it a pretty enjoyable place to be in the first place.
Well, there is a saying about Midwest nice. And it's definitely true here.
Yeah.
Just from what I've noticed. I am a Midwesterner. I mean, I was born and raised in Ohio. I lived in Wisconsin. All different vibes, but the one thing they all had in common was that they're genuinely nice people.
Do you ever feel like Ohio, calling that the Midwest seems a little bit like...
That's what people
Can we call it the
me.
Middle East?
That's what people ask me, but it technically is the Midwest.
Oh, I know. I agree. I know that the designation exists,
Yeah.
but geographically, I question it a bit.
I mean, I've had people ask me that too. But remember, we're right underneath that state that we don't speak of. So, that has the Wolverines.
I wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah. So
And they come across that border for Cedar Point. Come back. Sandusky is ours. Go make one in Detroit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a certain football team that they just can't seem to beat. Yeah. But we don't have to talk about that. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, so they're Midwestern. So
Yep.
I think that's kind of the geographical, but it's weird too because Ohio, and it's probably a lot of the same in Iowa because I definitely know it's the same in Wisconsin, is almost 3 different states.
Yes. Well, Iowa, I would say Eastern Iowa and Western Iowa are 2 different states.
Yeah. Well, in Ohio, northern, central, and southern, totally different. So, I know it is in Wisconsin, the north and the south, different. So
doesn't Southern Ohio border like Kentucky?
And West Virginia.
Yeah, I'd imagine that gets pretty.
So like the
quick.
Cincinnati area, it's very southern focused. Where I'm from, Columbus, it's just kind of middle of everything.
I went to Columbus last year, or in 2019. I liked it very much. Very nice city.
And then Cleveland is definitely a Midwestern blue collar, Pittsburghy type state, which we don't mention them either, but still.
Oh, do I hate them?
Well, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I hate Pittsburgh.
There, yes.
Yeah. Well, and it's got to be tough being like
unless they're coming here to visit, then we love them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Bring it on in. Yeah. I mean, I hate That's funny. You probably will feel a little left out at points. Like really, if you do like the NFL quite a bit.
Yeah.
Unless you can find somebody who's like a Chiefs fan, there's not a ton of real NFL love in Sioux City.
Well, I've noticed that there's kind of everything here. I mean, when I was out just shopping a couple weeks ago, I saw Browns shirts, I saw Chiefs shirts, I saw Pittsburgh shirts, so they like everything here, which is kind of cool.
When the closest team is 4 hours away, it's tough to get two
in either direction.
Yeah, to get two like latched onto one team. Everybody's kind of goes wherever they want. A lot of kids just pick the team with the coolest mascot.
But they're all either Iowa or Nebraska, I've noticed, which does make sense.
Yep, and it's very rare that you find Iowa State diehards. There's not too many of them. Yeah,
which is because they're pretty good.
Well, well, I went to Iowa, so
well,
yeah. I don't even know. Is that still an accredited university, Iowa State? I thought they'd taken that away. Lack of educational resources or something.
I'm not getting into that. Sorry. I'm new here.
So with everything you guys are doing at the convention or at the regional convention and visitors bureau, what is like, I guess, what can the community do to, I guess, help you guys out? Because I know that you guys are just a group of people and you don't know everything that you don't know, right? So how do people, I guess, if somebody has like, oh, I run this organization and I'd love to talk to them, how do they do that?
Well, get a hold of me. They can email me. It's ron@exploresioux.org. They can call. Our phone number is 224-1000. Also, come to our office. We're at Downtown Partners, is where we're being right now. It's 418 Pierce Street. More than welcome to come in. I'm out and about a lot right now, so I may not be in the office, but if I'm there, certainly come in, talk to us. One of the things that is my goal, and it's not just a Sioux City thing. This is any town that I've worked in. It's when visitors come in and they ask what there's to do. My goal is to get people to not say nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing you hear. You go to any sort of a convenience store. Is there anything going on this weekend? No, nothing. You my goal is to get them to say, well, yeah, there's all this had happening.
Yep.
So, and that's a little bit of, it's going to be a challenge, but.
So I'll tell you, like, I'm probably guilty of not knowing enough that's going on myself, but I have found that the Weekender is an outstanding resource. And I don't know what their information system looks like, if it's information coming into them or if they're hunting out the information, but they do a great job of compiling a list of like the top 5 or 6 things to do in Sioux City every weekend.
Great.
And they kind of get like all the small stuff too. They'll be like, oh, there's this poetry group that's going to be meeting at this bar at this time, and you guys should be there. And every one of the things that I've found in the Weekender when it's their things to do have been great. So,
well, we're right now talking about a way to maybe get a QR code or something we can put at various stores, hotels that whenever they're asking what there is to do, you can scan it. It'll take you to a page that will have it updated. Mm-hmm. It's not there yet. Please don't do it yet. But it's something that we are definitely planning on doing, hopefully by the summer.
Outstanding.
Because I think that's something, it's easy for us. We can easily update that every week.
Yep.
And then it won't put so much focus on the negative.
That's a great idea, because pretty much every city I've visited, I've ran into the same thing where there's very scattered resources about how to find something to do. And, a lot of like organizations have websites that are out of date or whatever. And that'd be a great resource, being able to just snap something on your camera app on your phone. So
yeah, it's just something that's coming to fruition. So hopefully we can get it going. That's the biggest challenge, is getting locals to know what's going on. So when a visitor comes, they can tell them. Maybe the visitor will say, well, I've got to go, because you're talking to them too much. Yeah. Great.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
I love it. If we can promote everything going on in Sioux City, I'd love it, because there's so many, especially during the pandemic, there's been too many businesses that are struggling, and if not going under. And it's really a shame, because like local businesses have done so much to keep Sioux City great. And especially they, you haven't been here long enough to have really seen this, but 10 years ago, Sioux City's downtown was rough looking.
I've heard.
Yeah, and even before that, I guess back in the 60s, 4th Street was Baghdad. And but like the way that especially immigrant-owned businesses, or not necessarily immigrant, but I guess like the Mexican restaurants that have kept Sioux City's downtown alive, the Asian restaurants that have kept especially West 7th alive. And now, we have a lot of African restaurants and businesses moving into the upper downtown area, are all like really doing their part to remain anchor tenants and establishments that otherwise would be vacant if they weren't moving in there. So it's been rough seeing a few of those places go under during the pandemic, but I guess in 2021, hopefully we can bounce back and turn things around for all these places.
It's certainly the goal. That's one of the things I want to do is help all the businesses in town. And yes, we do need to focus on local businesses, but we also need all the businesses to succeed, because the more choices we have, the better and more successful we will be to promote Sioux City.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Well, Ron, if you have anything else, let me know. But if not, I think we're probably good to go here.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who tuned in. We now have merch on the Honeywave Media website, honeywavemedia.com/merch. Buy some stuff. Keep me in business. And until next time, thanks so much.